Welcome to Section 4.5, the Introduction to Parallel Lines. Our objective is to recognize planes, transversals, and parallel lines, and to recognize the pairs of lines formed by a transversal. For our homework, it's on page 196 to 197, numbers 1 through 5. Now, don't let the section number 4.5 confuse you. This is actually going to start a new chapter for us. Section 4.5 and 4.6 are actually going to blend in with Chapter 5 and lead in as a great introduction. Okay, now, I know this page looks kind of crazy, but don't be confused by it. Here's what I want us to do with it. I want us to copy down these lines. We have line L, line M, and a line going through a T. We're actually going to use this for the next thing that we're going to do and put some numbers on it. So go ahead and copy down those lines. Okay, starting with that upper left, we're going to have angle number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, within these lines, what we're going to end up with is we are going to have certain patterns that seem to emerge. Now, vocab word you need to know. This line that's cutting the other two lines is called a transversal. So let's write that down. And all a transversal is, it's a single line that cuts through two or more lines. And that's all a transversal is, so don't be intimidated by that. Oftentimes you'll see the transversal is labeled with a T, but it doesn't have to be. So here's some easy ways to look at angle relationships on parallel lines. Our first angle relationship is alternate interior angles, or AIA for short. Alternate interior angles are going to be two angles on the interior of two lines on alternate sides of a transversal. And let's look at our picture and see if we can find what pairs we have. Now, we have exterior angles that are on the outsides, interior angles which are in between the two lines being cut by the transversal. Now, we need an angle that's a pair with each line and on alternating sides of the transversal, so one left and one right. Well, if angle 3 is our angle from our top line, then angle 6 would be its pair on the bottom line. 3 and 6 are going to be our first pair. Our second pair we're going to have is angle 4 matched up with angle 5. So those are going to be our pairs of alternate interior angles, 3 and 6 and 4 and 5. Next we have alternate exterior angles, AEA. Now, alternate exterior angles are similar to alternate interior angles, except that they're on the exterior of two lines, but still on alternate sides of a transversal. So let's take a look at those. If I was to do angle 1, angle 1 is on the left side, exterior of the top line. On the right side, exterior would be angle 8. 1 and 8 is going to be our first set. Our second set, we would have angle 2, which is on the right exterior of the top, and angle 7, the left exterior of the bottom. 2 and 7 is going to be our second set of pairs. So we have angle 1 and angle 8, angle 2 and angle 7. Corresponding is one that seems to throw us off. So let's relate that back to science. When things are in one-to-one correspondence, it means they're matching up. That's what corresponding angles are. It's going to be two angles on the lines cut by a transversal, on the same location. I should say at the same location. On each line. In other words, they're going to be matching up. So let's go ahead and let's look back. Okay, so let's look at this top line. The top line. I have top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. The second line, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. They match up. Top left with top left. Top right with top right. Bottom left with bottom left. Bottom right with bottom right. Those are going to be my pairs of corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. We have angle 1 and angle 5. Angle 2 and angle 6. Angle 3 and angle 7. Angle 4 and angle 8. They're angles that match up, same locations. Now, I want you to think about what it means to be same side interior and same side exterior. I want you to look at your lines and let's decide which one would work. Press pause, let's see what we can do. So for our same side interior angles, we're going to have 2 angles on the interior of 2 lines on the same side of a transversal. So for our pairs, what we should have ended up with is 3 and 5, 4 and 6. Angle 3 and angle 5, angle 4 and angle 6. Let's take a look again. 3 and 5 are on the interior, both on the left side. 4 and 6 inside, but on the right of the transversal. Same side and interior. For your same side exterior, we should have 1 and 7, 2 and 8. Angle 1 and angle 7, angle 2 and angle 8. They're on the same side of the transversal, but on the exterior of our 2 lines being cut by that transversal. If you have questions about any of these vocab words, please make sure we address it in class. Okay, so here's our only example slide. So here we go. We're going to identify the types of angles in this picture. So here we go. I listed out those lines I want us to be paying attention to by putting arrows on them. So I want us to be paying attention to this line and this line. Now, here's where angle 1 is. Here's where angle 2 is. Now, what's your transversal going to be? Here's your transversal. It's the other line that's creating those angles. So here's what I want you to do. Trace over those lines. Go all the way through them. What could we call this line then? We could call it a distractor. So we're going to want to kind of imagine that this line right here isn't there. So let's get rid of it. So if this line wasn't here and we're only looking at our purple lines, what types of angles would they be? Classify it. Well, one's inside and one's outside. So they're definitely not an interior or an exterior. So instead, look at their location. Upper right of the top line. Upper right of the bottom line. They're going to be our corresponding angles. Perfect. Our next one. Here's the lines I want us to look at. So let's trace all the way through them. What would be your transversal? This line that's helping to form those angles. Which means everything else is a distractor. Let's get rid of it. So here we go. We're going to get rid of this line right here. We're going to get rid of this line right here. And this bottom line right here. Getting a little overzealous here, but that's alright. So here we go. And we're just looking at those 2 angles. What do we got? We got an exterior angle. It's on the outside of our line. We got another exterior angle. Beautiful. Are they on the same side of this transversal, or are they on alternate sides? One right side, one left side. We have alternate exterior angles. Okay, here we go. Let's look at our next one. Let's trace all the way through those lines with those arrows. All the way through. Let's trace over that transversal, the line that's passing through both of those, helping to form our angles. And we're talking about this angle here matched with this angle here. Ignoring everything else. Are those angles inside or outside of my lines? Well, they're definitely inside. The same side of the transversal or on alternate sides? Well, this time our transversal is going left to right. So we got one top and one bottom, so alternate. They are alternate interior angles. Okay, see what you can do with these last ones. Press pause. Hopefully you figured out what's going on here. So here's our lines. Tracing all the way through just to give us an extra visual. Trace down that transversal. So I'm only looking at those purple lines. Looking at angle 1 and angle 2. They're both inside my lines. They're both on the left side of my transversal, which makes them same side, interior angles. My last one, tracing through those lines. Tracing through those lines. Here's the transversal that helps to make them. Angle 1 and angle 2. Angle 1 and angle 2 are outside of these two lines, but they're both on the same side of my transversal. They're going to be same side, exterior angles. Tomorrow we'll do some more practice on these. If you have questions, please make sure you ask. Here's the answers to our homework. Kind of take it in. I know it looks like there's a ton of work, but I promise you, it's not. There's only 5 problems that are dealing with the relationships that we're seeing between these lines. Try and do a good job on these things. Let's see what we could end up with. If we have questions, make sure we're bringing them with us to class tomorrow. You have a good one.